Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ala man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. Chapter 7. From shirk is wearing rings and what resembles them to remove harm and prevent it.
The date, the 11th?
The 11th of Muharram, 1438 and
12th of October.
12th of October 2016.
I'm looking at the date. No.
And there's a footnote in the chapter. Footnote 27. Wearing these things may be minor and it may be major shirk according to the belief of the one who wears it. Wearing these things is shirk because whoever confirms a means that Allah has not made a means, neither through the Sharia nor due to it being estimated as such, has set up a partner with Allah. His saying to remove the difficulty or prevent it, there is a distinction between them, that the removal is after the difficulty has descended and prevention is before the descension of the difficulty. And Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah did not disapprove of the correct means for removing and preventing harm, but only the incorrect means.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ala man tabi'a hudahum ila yawmiddin. Bab min ash-shirk lubsu al-halqa wal-khayt wa nahwihima li raf'i al-bala'i aw daf'ihi. This is a chapter related to the shirk of wearing the halqa, the ring, the khayt of the string, the ring and the string, and the lengths in order to remove or to prevent al-bala. Bala, anything to do with something that is wrong. Now the Imam Muhammad Wahhab, he brought this chapter in order to show the Tawheed and to show the opposite, because whenever you want to define something, you have to bring the reality of that and also what is the opposite. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whenever you want to define something, always you bring the reality of that and what is the opposite. So the opposite of Tawheed is the shirk. So in order to understand what is the Tawheed, then you need to understand the opposite of the Tawheed, which is the shirk. So also from the way that to interpret or explain something, you explain the good and the bad of it. So when the Tawheed came, the Imam Muhammad al-Wahhab had explained to us what is good about the Tawheed. And when it came to the shirk also, which is the opposite, he told us what is the ugly things attached to the shirk. So the Tawheed, the opposite of it in its origin is the shirk al-akbar. So shirk al-akbar is the one would negate the Tawheed completely. But also there is a shirk al-asghar. Shirk al-akbar that will take you outside the fold of Islam, whereas the shirk al-asghar, which is the one that will not, it will scratch your perfect Tawheed, and it's not shirk akbar. Right, so here we find that the Imam, rahimahullah, he says that it is from the shirk. What does he mean by that? The shirk is that the akbar or the asghar? It's actually both, depending upon the person's belief regarding those things. So if he had believed that that halqa, the ring or the string, in itself is benefiting or harming without the help of Allah, then he is definitely committing shirk akbar. And usually it is the case that the Muslims would not believe in those strings or the rings, usually, that they are benefiting of themselves. But if it is, then it will take him outside the fold of Islam. Yes, we find the non-Muslims who put the rings and the strings, they do put them and they believe that those things, they benefit beside their own creator whom they believe in. So they are already anyway kuffar, but I'm just saying they, the ones who have believed that that string or that ring benefits by itself or harmed by itself. So if you believe that that string or the ring if you believe it's harms or benefit by itself, then you are committing major shirk. But we say that most of the people, they don't do that. But if you have believed that it is one of the reasons to benefit and to harm, but it is not in itself, that means it has to have the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is the one that we say, if that thing that you put, like a string on the ring, has no way of benefiting or harming through the Sharia text or through the experience of the people, then that is considered to be shirk al-asghar, and I will explain inshallah more in that. So, for example, there are things that we know for a fact that they benefit. Like for example, if you take an aspirin, if you take a tablet of paracetamol, you know that can affect and going to take your headache or your pain away, because something which is scientifically proved. So if you believe in that it's going to benefit you, and of course that belief of yours is coupled with the belief that the one who is the one beneficial, the real one, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is okay, no problem. But if you believe, for example, a string or a ring which scientifically hasn't been proved to be a reason for help or reason for harm, then that is considered to be shirk asghar. The example of that, or the good example of this, is the copper bracelet some of the people they put on their hands, and they call it they said it's for the arthritis. And we know for a fact, scientifically speaking, that's nonsense whatsoever. Yes, it might have a sort of, you could call it from the psychiatric point of view, the person, he thinks, because when you believe, psychologically speaking, that is, when the person believes in something that benefits or harms, it might affect him actually, its effect is reality. I'll give you an example of myself. That is, and these brothers, the back, come forward, come forward, come forward, don't come. For example, a person had sent me a message saying the water that has been left in the bottle is so damaging to the health, and it had actually done so and so. He sent me a message and I read it. Is it true? If you leave the bottle like this, plastic ones, I had about three I think, in the car. And if you left it for the car a bit of time, days or whatever, then the water there, it will be not healthy, because one of the people been taken to the hospital because of that. So, I don't know, I started tasting the water, and the water tastes different now. Because psychologically here, I couldn't really take it. So, I said to myself, so I started throwing the first bottle. Second bottle, the same taste. Then I got somebody else, please, can you just tell me, how does it taste different, this water? The green said, there's nothing wrong with it. So why do I feel that there's something wrong with it? Psychologically speaking, that, because of the effect of mine in my head. So later on, when I forgot about that message, I started drinking the water which is different in the car. There's nothing. There's no difference. I'm pretty sure there is a chemical reaction which takes place between the plastic and the water if it's been exposed to the sun. I know that for a fact. But I'm just saying, if somebody had put the bracelet of the copper, which I have noticed that some people they do, and I have negotiated with them, he said, it helps me from my bones. And that guy's an engineer. I said, I think you're a scientific person. How do you believe in such a thing? And that copper thing is going to fix your bones. So this is psychological, but that psychological thing is not allowed, because that is, putting this, it's beneficial for you if you put somebody else. What are you talking about? It's not really helping me whatsoever. So that thing is, if you believe in it, that is considered shirk asghar, minor shirk, because it hasn't been proved through scientific method that this thing is helpful. It's what you believe. And especially if that belief is attached to something which is spiritual, and it'll go worse. But there is, for example, others that we find the effect of it. Like, for example, when you put, what do you call that for the teeth, to straighten them up? The bracelets for the teeth bracelets. Those are the ones, they would set your teeth properly, and you put them on, and there is an effect. It's not really put in there for a long time, no effect, but we find the effect of theirs. So there is an effect. So to put that on is no problem. As for the religious things as well, if you don't, for example, find something attached to something religious and you attribute something to it, that comes considered to be as well shirk asghar. For example, a person came to me, he said, when I recite Surah Al-Rahman, when my child, when he's crying, he gets quiet. I said, if you don't recite Al-Baqarah, it does not get quiet, for example. Why Surah Al-Rahman, for example? So you have to have a proof from Allah or His Prophet that Surah Al-Rahman is particularly good for the baby when he cries. Because if he says something like this, then you're going to be making sharia on your own. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in the Quran, there is shifa. There is a cure in the Quran. And this shifa, whether it is physical or spiritual, both. Allah says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We send from the Quran whatever it is in it from the shifa, which is cure, and also mercy for the believers. So from the Quran there is a spiritual and physical effect. Right, now regarding those reasons, the firaq of the Muslims are of three types. One who had denied all the reasons, there is no such thing. And they have denied even the wisdom of Allah behind such a thing. And those are the Jahmiyyah, which is Jabriyah, and also the Ash'ariyah. Ash'ariyah somehow, even though they say, for example, there is no power in the thing in itself. So this is Jabriyah. And those are the ones who had denied the reasons whatsoever. So when they, for example, they use a knife to kill someone, the knife did not kill. It's actually, it's Allah who had killed. So you are being forced to do it. And the other one was the opposite, which is the Sufis, who had made their emphasis on the reasons, and they have evaded Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that. And those are the ones that said, that's from the Sufis. The third group is the ones who believe in those reasons and they believe in their effect, but they will not attribute those effects except for what Allah had attributed to them. Whether this reason is from the religion or reason from the universal, which is the people they have experienced. So those are the ones who have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, real belief, the ones who have believed in His hikmah. They will all the time attach the reasons to the ones who causes them. And this is from the completion of hikmah. So putting the halqa or the khayt, the ring or the string, and believing that it has a reason without the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the real effect, then you are making a great shirk. And the shirk in His rububiyyah. Because you have attributed another God, which is the gift, the ring and the string, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you believed it is got an effect, but with the permission of Allah, then you have made the shirk asghar, because this effect is not being proved, whether religiously or universally, whether religiously or through experience of the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now,
and the saying of Allah the Most High, translating into English, say, tell me then the things that you invoke besides Allah. If Allah intended some harm for me, could they remove His harm?
So, أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking, tell me, أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ. So Allah says in a number of verses, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. That means, tell me the situation, tell me the case. Tell me the case of those things that you call beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah azza wa jal had ordained for me to be harmed, any slave, ordained Allah to be harmed. Those things that you worship beside Allah, do they have the power, whether it's idols or people, do they have the power to prevent that harm? And the other way around as well, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants mercy to a person, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants in his prosperity, those things that you worship, whether they are idols or others, do they have the power to prevent the mercy and to prevent the benefit? So if it is the case, why are you worshipping these things? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking. So this harm, like for example, fever. Allah wants to strike you with fever. So the ones that you're putting, just like a string to protect you from the string, from the harm. Do you believe that string will protect you from the harm which is already been ordained upon you, which is the fever? Do you believe that? If you believe that, then you are mushrikeen, shirk akbar. And if you don't believe that, except if Allah wills, you are mushrikeen, shirk what? That's all, in both cases. Because if you believe that, with the help of Allah, Allah did not put help into that string or that bracelet of copper. He did not. You have made it up yourself. So, if the person wants to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly and associate nothing, he has to attribute everything to Allah, and also that he has to believe what Allah had put into that thing. You cannot attribute, for example, a healing power by touching a person. If I touched him, I said I've been healed. Who said so? Even if you say, oh, Allah has given him the power. Allah did not show you that in the book, nor the Prophet of Allah showed you in the Sunnah. Right. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues on Imran ibn Husayn. Have you got any notes there? No. You haven't got any notes regarding that?
Oh, no.
I'm talking about the notes here. Footnotes. I'm not asking about the book.
No.
Okay, go. Continue then.
The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever hangs an amulet, then he has committed polytheism, shirk. And that's a footnote.
Go. Whatever this footnote, continue.
No. Then he has committed shirk. This shirk is major if it is believed that it removes or prevents harm by itself without the command of Allah. Otherwise, it is minor shirk. And affirming a cause that Allah has not made is to set up a partner with Allah in affirming the causes.
Actually, the one who had made this book had taken away two hadiths which are unauthentic. So if you look at the original book, there is one which is hadith Imran ibn Husayn radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw a man in his hand something which is like a string. He said, what is this? He said, it is from the one it weakens. He said, take it off, for verily it will make you weaker. If you to die upon it and it's on you, then you will not be successful whatsoever. This hadith is in a da'ifa of Shaykh al-Albani 1029. And it's to be unauthentic. So that is why the one who had made the abbreviated book had skipped that hadith. Now, the meaning of it cannot be far from the truth. Anything that you put, which is not a real cause that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made, then it will increase you more weakness, increase you as in more weakness, whether spiritually or physically. And when he said to the person, you will not be successful, does that mean that he did not, the Prophet of Allah, take in consideration that that man is ignorant? No, well, verily, he was ignorant up to the point when the Prophet of Allah told him. He's not ignorant anymore. So if he did not take it off and he died upon it after the Prophet of Allah told him, then he's what? He's going to be in the hellfire. He's going to be as a mushrik. The shirk akbar. And the shirk asghar is going to be in the will of Allah. Might punish him, might not. So when he said to him, inzaha, take it off. So if you don't take it off, the Prophet is telling you that, then you will never be successful at all. But if you did not need the Prophet of Allah, and you did not need a scholar to tell you that, and you died upon such shirk, and that depends. First of all, as we Muslims, we bury him in the Muslim cemetery because we treat him as a Muslim. We don't know what is his heart intention, whether he wanted to take that thing on himself is to be major shirk, he believes in it, or it's something. We don't know. We see him praying, we see him saying La ilaha illallah, so we treat him as a Muslim. But in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes, what is he? Now that depends, as I said, if he's going to be excused by his ignorance or not. If he's a person living in a Bedouin area and there is nobody there to ask, and he's tried to ask, and yet he did not find anybody to tell him that those things that is hanging from him, whether, I don't know if you've seen some of the places in Africa, the Muslims are hanging everything, all sorts of things, strings and hanging things, and just for the sake of protection. So if they didn't have anybody to ask, and remember those people are outside every civilization in terms of there's no mobile, there's no internet, there's nothing, then he will be excused, definitely about that. But if he lives in a place where he's able to ask and he yet did not ask, he would ask if there's something profitable regarding his business. When it comes to religion, he does not ask, then he will be not excused for his ignorance. And the example of the Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen had given is that the example of a person who was raised in a Bedouin area, and he believed that he will not be questioned for his prayers and his fasting until he becomes 15 years old. But yet he reached his puberty before that age. He saw what to dream, or he had the pubic hair, or the girl, she had her menses. So they did not pray until they're 15, so are they going to be taken for what they haven't done? No, they will not, because they didn't have anybody to tell them, because they were raised in a place where there's nobody to tell them that the puberty is not just attached to the 15, you could be reached the puberty before the 15. But if they were raised up in an area where they could ask, but they were hesitant to ask, they were oblivious to ask, then this is where the case is that they may not be excused for their ignorance. The following hadith, which the one who had done that book of yours is actually had skipped, Hadith Uqba ibn Amir, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who had hanged a tamima, talisman. Tamima is a talisman. فَلَا أَتَمَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ, then may Allah not make it something good for him. وَمَنْ تَعَلَّقَ وَدَعَ, and he who had put the wada'. Can you ask for those who have got the translation, what did he translate that? Wada', for example. Who had hanged tamima, what did he translate? Talisman, is it?
Amulet.
Amulet. Amulet is better, maybe. Amulet. What is the difference between amulet and talisman? And a talisman? Well, a talisman then would be better. Yeah, because hanging in anything. It's whether it's in the arm. So the arm is not an amulet. So it's not in the arm. Okay, no. So the talisman is a better word then. Yeah, so talisman is better word. Tamima. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he says there, complete for him. May Allah perfect things for him. Okay, and the other one? Charms, what are that? Charms, yes, seashells, yes.
Not giving.
May Allah not give him suckle. Suckle. I don't know what suckle is. So let's just ask the help. Dictionary. Don't know that dictionary knows it as well. Just boiling me up when this is.
SCWC.
It's an American and a British. American word is more actually. It's not really a spoken word. Help that you give to somebody who is suffering or having problems. Yes. In Arabic, this is a translation of, which is that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave him without the help. Without the help. So, saka. Why does he use that very hard word for us to learn? You never heard? I mean, but the translator, the one who's good, he speaks to the people according to their level. I don't need to go having a dictionary every time I read. It's not right. I don't like these people who use these words when they translate them. Just simple words for simple In Saka, you have to go into university to learn these words. You know? Maybe it's Silsita. Oh, all right. They want to put it. Okay. Right. Okay, we understood the word Saka now.
It's a swearing word, it's not a bad word.
Really?
It's different. It's written differently.
Ah, you have made my mind go somewhere else now. Right, this correct hadith is من تعلق تميمة فقد أشرك. He who put a talisman, then he had made shirk. This is the hadith which is sahih. And this shirk, whether it is major or minor, is being explained there. Very good. Now, we're going to talk about the following chapter, which is the as well. It's got the charms in it as well. So, right, let's go for the following. Abu Hatim and Hudhayfa. No, go on. No.
Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimullah said, what is correct is that hanging amulets is not from mockery of the religion, but rather from minor shirk and from imitation of the people from the days of ignorance, and it may become major shirk according to the condition of the person's heart, such as hanging amulets with the belief that it benefits and harms instead of Allah Azza wa Jal, and whatever resembles this belief. As for when it is believed that it is a means of security from the evil eye or jinn, and what is similar to that, then this is a form of minor shirk, because Allah, may He be glorified, has not made it a means. Rather, He has prohibited it, warned and made it clear that this is shirk upon the tongue of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's from Tariq Fath al-Majid, page.
What about the footnotes? Yeah, that's what you read. Anything else? It's finished now.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So the Hadith of al-Yaman is the last one, which you haven't read, which you haven't got. That is, Hudhayfa, he said he saw a man that he's got a khayt, string, and it's from the humma, fever. So he had cut it off. And he recited the verse, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. Most of them, they will not believe in Allah except they are already committing shirk as well along their belief. And we do have some of the companions who had met the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet of Allah did not give them the pledge when he saw there's a string in his arm, like a string in his arm. It's a talisman. So the Prophet ﷺ, he gave, that's the hadith, pledge for 9 out of 10, and they left the 10. He said, Messenger of Allah, what's wrong with him? Why didn't you give him the pledge? He said, Inna fi abudihi tamima. There is in his arm a talisman. So when he took it off, when he straight away cut it off, the Prophet of Allah gave him the pledge and he shook his hand. So he did not accept his pledge until he had what? Cleared himself from the shirk. In this, there's some issues. Issue number 1, it says here, the emphasis regarding not to wear the halqa, the string, and the charms, and the talismans, and all of that. And because Prophet of Allah said he will be mushrik if he does so. Second one, which is based upon a hadith which is unauthentic, that is the Sahabi companion, he was died upon what he had, which is the talisman, he will never be successful. We said, as I said, we've explained regarding the ignorance or not ignorance, when you're going to be taken for your not being ignorant, and you're not going to be, when you're going to be excused if you are ignorant. We talked about that as well. Then the third issue, that he will not be excused because of his ignorance, we discussed that. And the fourth issue, that the hadith which is unauthentic, when he said to him that this thing will not benefit you, it will increase in your weakness. And the fifth issue is to increase the emphasis on regarding not to put on the talisman. The sixth issue here is that the declaration, it will be part of the shirk. Seventh issue, also this is the same. Sorry, the sixth issue is dependent upon which the hadith is unauthentic. The seventh issue is the shirk. Eighth issue, that is the khayt from Hudhayfa al-Yaman, he said from the humma, is from the shirk as well. And then Hudayfa radiallahu anhu reciting the verse, وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ بِاللَّهِ إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. And the Sahaba, they will take the ayat which talks about the major shirk and use it even for the minor shirk. The ayat which are used for the major shirk, they use it as well for the minor shirk. The 10th issue is with the seashell, which we said about it is unauthentic, but it's correct opinion. And the 11th issue is that is depending upon, which is as well, again, the unauthentic hadith, which says the one who does put a talisman, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not perfect him. Same thing with the seashells. Now, after this, okay, we will tell you that there are people who come and will tell you that they will know their future by throwing like seashells or whatever on the ground, and then they will tell you that they have future. And those people actually, they are in contact with the jinns and with the, also we call it the qareen, which is your partner from the jinn. And all your qareens are kuffar. They cooperate with the non-Muslim jinns, or even with the Muslim jinns who wants to harm you because they don't know anything. Because there are jinns which are Muslim, but yet they are ignorant, and they might do harm to you as well. And the qareen of the Prophet ﷺ, according to some of the scholars, what they say, that he is a Muslim qareen. So when we see, for example, how one day one of the sheikhs, which I know very well, from him to my ear, when he said that one day there was a neighbor that he came to me, his name is Abu Muhammad, and he had said to me that such and such woman, she came and she had actually told us things that only us we know about, and very secretive. So how come? And she as well pretends and claims that she knows something about the future. So the Sheikh went with him and he said that this woman should gonna come today. So when she came to the house of the man of Abu Muhammad, this woman, she started throwing those seashells, whatever she's got, and even she called upon the relatives of this Sheikh and even the things the Sheikh only knows about. So the Sheikh, he had said to her, either you tell us what you do, or you're going to come out safe. We're going to strip you out of your clothes. He's used the same thing that Ali ibn Abi Talib had used regarding that woman. So, we'll strip you out of your clothes, you tell us what you are having, because this communication with this shayateen has to be done with a compromise, a sacrificial that you have done in order for that shayateen to cooperate. And she actually had confessed after threatening that she had, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, some of the Quran pages, she had been put into, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, private parts. So she's using Quran pages into polluting it into a private, because the shaitan had asked her to do so. And I know that Sheikh as well, who had said one day that he went to a person's house where this shaitan witch had come as well, and he straight away he said that your name such and such, he come, his father is such and such, and so and so. So the Sheikh wanted to expose his lying by saying that you are a person who cooperate with the shayateen. Said, you know everything. So he had prepared the test for him. So he had turned his face and his back towards that sorcerer, and he started counting money. And then he said to him, how much is that? In a click of a finger, that guy, he said, whatever, 500. And it was correct. Then the Sheikh had put his hand in his pocket and he pulled a certain amount of money which he himself didn't know. He said, how much is that? And then he was struggling and he didn't give the answer. Then he was explaining to the Sheikh that this man is dealing with the shayateen. That if you know something, your qareen will know about it. So whatever you know, your qareen will know. That is, not inside yourself, outside. Do you understand me? So if, for example, something that is whispered in your heart, nobody knows that except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not even the angel, not even the shayateen. But something that you have seen. So you have seen, for example, that this word saka. Shaykh Qarin is seeing it with you as well. So if you go to the sorcerer, what do I have in with my hand? He will say to you, water saka. Because you've seen it and the shaitan's seeing it, that Qarin of yours, and he had told that shaitan or the jinn that he cooperates with that sorcerer. That's the link here. So when he put his hand and he pulled something from the money, he himself didn't know, so the Qarin will not know, therefore the sorcerer will not know. I'm not saying to you go and start proving these people are shayateen and go to them and testing them, but this is for you to immunize yourself. One of the brothers, he said to me that one day I was on the bus and then he came out of the bus, he's a sheikh himself, and then he met a person whom there's a rumor about him that he was a sorcerer. So he said straight away I kicked in him reciting Al-Baqarah, especially the verse of Al-Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illa, and slowly, and he's like with tongue, not audible. What that guy said to him, the sorcerer, he said, you are preventing me to go in, aren't you? SubhanAllah. He said to him that you're preventing me to go into you. To know what is that? You're making a block between me and you. And I kept reciting it because I don't want it to affect me. So it was a protection. He said, you're reading something. You must be reading something that you're blocking me from you. And that is, I said to you, and this is, as I said, from the Shaykh, which is a knowledgeable student knowledge. He had done it, and he told me about it. So the person, he could immunize himself against the shayateen. Bismillah, tawakkaltu ala Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Every time you go to your house. I think we have finished, alhamdulillah, the chapter. Can we go to the following chapter, please? Chapter number 8. We're going a bit faster.
Chapter 8, that which has been related concerning incantations and amulets.
Yeah.
There's an explanation for the title.
Go ahead.
As for this chapter, he did not mention that it is shirk because some incantations are not shirk. Amulets, it is what is hung upon the sick or healthy, whether the contents are Quran or other than it, for curing or protecting against the evil eye, or what is hung on animals. During this present time, some people do not hang the Quran for curing, rather only for blessings and adornment, like on a gold necklace or on an ornament on which is written sacred words, Ayatul Kursi or the whole Quran, and this is all from innovations, bid'ah, in the religion. The Quran was not revealed for curing in this manner, but should only be utilized with what is legislated.
Right. The Salaf had different regarding putting the Quran as a cure, hanging the Quran. And correct opinion, it is not from the traceable of the Sunnah that Quran used to be hanged on the children or the people in order to kill. As for the hadith, well, some of the companions to hang some of the Ayatul Kursi or whatever on some of their children is in order for teaching them, it's not for the blessing of that Quran on them. So, the correct opinion that even the Quran could be used as a tamima as well. Especially those people who put in something which is locked up, you can't even see it. And we said that this Quran, number one, is going to be humiliated, put in the children urinate on it. And that happens. And also, they carry it in their necks and they enter the toilet, which could be seen with it as well. So that is as well humiliation to the Quran. On the bed, you don't know what's going to happen to it. You might take off from your neck and you put it underneath your foot. It's a humiliation as well. So, for those who always shout at us, why do you put your back towards the book of Quran like this? They will tell him off, why your back is against the Quran. Those are the ones who put these amulets, unfortunately. So this is not a problem to sit like this in the Quran behind like that. The problem is when you hang it and you're not supposed to hang it, and then you go to places you're not supposed to go, and you give it to the child, and the child, God knows what he's going to do to it. So he said, Al-ruqyah, incantation, ruqyah, words that you say in order to cure someone. And this ruqyah, he said, it is not straight away shirk. It could be shirk, it could be not shirk. And that's why he said, whatever has been mentioned regarding the ruqyah. Why did he say about the tamima, not shirk? Because he says about the Quran tamima, is it? So some of the scholars said it's not really to be a tamima shirk. But we say, even if it's not tamima shirk, which we believe is tamima shirk, we believe that's actually imitating others, which is not really from the Sunnah, imitating the people who put the Bible and put the Torah and all of that. So it is not from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ whatsoever to hang Quran on the necks. Right. Ruqyah, part of it shirk and part of it not shirk, as we're going to see inshallah. So some of it is shirk and some of it is not shirk. So let's go to the first hadith, which is Sahih. That is in Sahih al-Bukhari. Now,
Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no necklace from a bowstring should be left on the neck of a camel except that it should be cut off.
there is no beginning of it. That Abu Bashir al-Ansari said he was with the Prophet of Allah on his journey. It's important to know these things. Okay, so Abu Bashir al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him, he was with the Prophet ﷺ in some of his journeys. So he sent to him a messenger to tell him. The messenger told him, أَلَّا يَبْقَيَنَّ فِي رَقَبَةٍ بَعِيرٍ قِلَادَةٌ مِّن وَتَرٍ أَوْ قِلَادَةٌ إِلَّا قُطِعَتْ. That is, any, you call it what, amulet? In the neck of the ba'ir. Ba'ir is the jamal, which is the camel. Okay? Or anyone which is made of, whether it is the string or whether it is like a qilada, which is like a necklace, is to be cut off. Is to be cut off. Now, so here, the Prophet ﷺ, he was on a journey. The Messenger ﷺ was on a journey. And the journey in Arabic means safar. And the safar, it means exposure, to disclose. And it will disclose the people's, manners. If you want to know about somebody, travel with him. He will show you his reality. Maybe he was a cat when he was home. When you travel with him, he was actually a beast. So he will show his reality. And the Prophet of Allah, even in his journey, still enjoins good and forbids evil. So he must have passed by some sheep and camels where he found that those things have been hanged in there. Why do they hang it? The Arabs used to hang it in order to take the evil eye away. So they hang in the neck of the sheep or the neck of the camel something that is in order to take the evil eye. And that is something I've seen myself. That people, they put things to put the people off so that they will not have even evil eye. One day I was coming from my masjid towards the house, and I was passing by a new building which is yet to be built. So they dug a massive hole to it, which is a hole never been seen anywhere else. Actually, I remember even that ditch, they said, I haven't really checked it out, but they had found in it treasures. Okay, treasures hidden by the Turks, the Ottomans, the Turkish Ottomans, actually, when they occupied that land. But anyway, but they had dug a big, massive sort of, because when you want to build something which is high, you need to lay a foundation which is really deep as well in the ground. And because it's in the middle of area where there is no such big buildings like this, so the hole is massive and attracted the people's eye. Okay, and I remember the depth of it when I was passing by it, maybe about, I would say maybe 15 meters, and then 5 times myself. No, it's 10, a bit more than that. 7 times myself. Really deep, because the people, really the workers, can see them very small there. And it's not really as big as those big buildings here, but it's big to our country, to our place, I would say. And in it, there was a person, he had made a big, massive wooden thing, like a pole. And he made it from the ground all the way up to the level where when you pass by the street you could see it. And on top of that there is a very old trainer's shoes, for the workers, very old and dirty, and it's stuck on top of that pole. On the top there. On his person, why did he do that? It's really to that bottom. And he said, I asked him, brother, what is this for? It's an old shoe, a very bad shoe. He said, we've been harmed because of the eyes of the people. Every time we do something, we fall, we do something. So he's putting it to take the evil eye of the people. So when they see this boot, so they will not really say, wow. Do you understand? So the shoe is to take the people's wow. From wow to ah. That's the whole issue. When I saw it in my eyes, I thought, subhanAllah, this is a practical implementation of what we learn in the books. You learn it, but when you see it, you realize, people believe in that. So believing in this, we've heard about this, but I've never seen it. Yeah, this is haram, shirk. Alhamdulillah, put it down. To take it down is not easy. 5-6 people, hold it. They make it go down. This shoe, big, massive shoe. And it's haram, this is shirk. As for the evil eye, when the people draw it, you've seen eyes drawn with 500 lashes and all of that. Eid al-Hasud, La Tasud, lots of things in Arabic they say. All of them, we've seen that as well. As for shoes hanging from the car, I've seen that as well. As well to take the evil eye from the car. What is this? People believe in the shoe. How can the shoe protect you from evil eye? How can you do that? But anyway, alhamdulillah, as these people, the brothers, have taken it off. So this is from the tamima that they used to put into the hanging the necks of the camels in order to take the evil eye from the people. There's evil eyes which are very hot. We're going to come to it inshallah later on in the chapters, the evil eye. Right. We take from this, number one, that the person who's in charge all the time, he should be all the time as well caring and knowing what is happening. That is why he had seen the camels and the cattle of the Prophet of Allah. So he said that they should not put these strings and those amulets in their necks. So if they are doing something haram, he will prevent them. If they're doing something good, he will encourage them. Number two, that we learn from this, that we should not hang in the necks of the camels anything that would make us believe it will bring fortune to that camel, or make more milk, for example, because that thing is not really to do with something that we have learned through the universal law. And I'll give you an example. Since I've got a cat now recently, there was the fleas come to the cats. So there's a string that you buy, it's like an amulet as well, and you put it in the cat neck, and actually it is a fleas repeller. So when I put it there, it's not because of the evil eye. I put it there because it will repel what? The fleas, and it did work. MashaAllah, it did work. So that is something because it's got medicine. It's not because it's color, or it is because we believe that there is a spooky thing in it, or a spiritual thing in it. It's because it's got medicine, smell medicine of it, and that's why it is something that is allowed to be put on. Right, so the Prophet ﷺ also taught us in this, that if a person is able to change things with his hand, let him do so. And if he's not, then let him do it with what? His tongue. If you're not able to do both, then you do it with your heart. Now we're coming to the ruqyah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Na'am.
Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said,
ذَنَّ الرُّقَى وَالتَّمَائِمَ وَالتِّوَالَةَ شِرْكٍ.
Verily, ar-ruqa, amulets, and tiwala are polytheism, shirk.
Didn't say tamam? Three things.
Ar-ruqa, amulets, and tiwala.
Yeah, amulets, the second one. And tiwala shirk. Go on. Is there footnotes?
Yeah.
Go on, read the footnote, please.
At-tiwala is a thing hung upon the wife, and it is claimed that it makes the wife more beloved to the husband and vice versa. And it is shirk because it is not a cause mentioned in the Sharia and has no power to cause love. His saying shirk, is it major or minor? We say the ruling is according to what one intends from it. So if it is taken with the belief that the causer of love is Allah, then it is minor shirk. And if it is believed that it is caused by itself, then it is a major shirk. The Messenger ﷺ used to use the causes for things while having reliance upon the one who made and controls those causes, and that is Allah. The conditions for the permissibility of ruqyah, incantations, is one, that it is not believed that it benefits by itself instead of Allah. If it is believed it benefits by itself instead of Allah, it is prohibited and shirk. Rather, one must believe that it is a cause that does not benefit except by the permission of Allah.
Is it one condition? It's supposed to be three.
Yeah. Number two, that it does not conflict with the Sharia, such as invocation to other than Allah, or seeking relief from the jinn and what is similar to that, then indeed it is prohibited and shirk. Number three, that its meaning is understood and known. The hadith, no ruqyah except from poisonous stings and the evil eye. Some of the people of knowledge are of the opinion that its meaning is not to seek ruqyah except for these reasons.
Right. Okay. So, well, this, inshallah, we'll try to find and squeeze as much as we can in the time that's left. إن الرقى والتمائم والتولة شرك. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه وأرضاه, he had entered upon his wife Zainab, and he saw in her neck a necklace, or like a tamima, which is an amulet, and he said, "What is this?" And straight away he cut it. And he said that family of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud are to be far away from shirk. And then he said, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ الرُّقَى وَالتَّمَائِمَ وَالتِّوَلَةَ شِرْكٌ. Verily, all of that to be shirk. She said to him, "Why do you say this? For verily it was a pain in my eye. My eye used to be affected from that. And I used to go to a Jewish, and he used to read incantation on it. And every time he reads, my eye settles down." So he said, verily, this is the shaitan, used to poke it, and every time the Jew man reads on it, then he will stop. Now that hadith, for a certain gap of time of the Shaykh al-Albani, was authentic. And used to pose me trouble myself to understand it. Even though if it's Sahih, I understand Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's wife, maybe she made a major mistake. Until, alhamdulillah, the Shaykh had arrived to the last conclusion before he died, this hadith is not authentic. And I'm really happy. Because that would save our companion, wife of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, from going to a Jewish man. How can she go to a Jewish man for incantation? But the hadith which says, "Inna ruqa wa tamaima wa tiwala," the shirk came from different narrations, and it is to be authentic. Ar-ruqa wa tamaima wa tiwala shirk. So how can we say that the ruqa is not shirk? So there is ruqyah which is not shirk, and there is ruqyah with shirk. Most of the ruqa is to be shirk. But the ruqyah that abides with rules and abides with what the Prophet of Allah told the companions, then it is okay. Right, so ar-ruqyah. Ar-ruqyah, the one which is meant in the hadith here, is the ruqyah which has, number one, names of other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're using other than Allah azza wa jalla. Number two, this ruqyah is using words not from the Quran, not from the Sunnah, and includes shirk. Number three, this ruqyah is being taken from a person whom people, they think that he has got the power to give it. So if it is those three conditions being avoided, then the ruqyah is halal. So if the ruqyah is using the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's from the words of Allah and the words of the Prophet, and there is no shirk in it, and if no one would believe that the person who's saying it is the power with him, is actually the power with Allah, then that ruqyah is acceptable. At-tamima, which is the amulet, now the scholar who is Imam Abdul Wahab had interpreted that to be something which is, because later on he says, have you got that? Have you finished another chapter?
No, it's more.
There's more, read it please. But you say about the Talisman? Read. Well, let me just finish because I don't want to explain something as well as being explained.
The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever hangs something relies upon it. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, whoever ties a knot in his beard or wears a necklace made of bowstring, then verily Muhammad is innocent of him. And there's a footnote.
Go on.
It is claimed that it prevents the evil eye, and this is from shirk. From Ibrahim al-Nakhai, that he said, they detested amulets from the Quran and other than it.
That's it? Jazakallah, it's not a lot. Right, and just before I continue explanation, I just want to link it to this hadith. Right. It's me. I think I can't really differentiate with the numbers now. Right, okay. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Ruqyah is part of a full hadith, that's why I'm just trying to read it. And the full hadith is unauthentic, but that part, مَنْ تَعَلَّقَ شَيْئًا وُكِلَ إِلَيْهِ. He who hangs anything, then Allah will make him to be following that thing. He will be giving that He is your God. So you will be attributed to Him, to whatever it is. Now, before I go to this, I want to explain what I've just been explaining. So, at-tama'im is what the children, as the author he says, at-tamima, they used to put on them because of the ayn. Now, question here by Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin, he says, if a person, he had put on his children clothes which are old in order to protect them from the evil eye, is that permissible? The Shaykh says it's permissible because he did not do anything. It's actually, he left something. He had left a beautification. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he had said in his Zad al-Ma'ad that Uthman saw a very handsome child. So he said that is make or blacken his face basically, make him look like not really nice. And so if, for example, you have a child who's, it's got long hair and this long hair brings attraction, is beautiful, it's better to cut it. Because if you don't cut it, you might have what? Evil eye on the child. I have seen this with my eyes as well. I've seen that when the children that are beautiful, especially they've got long hair or something, and he's a boy, that he will fall, keep crying and keep doing. We tell the brothers or the father and the mother to cut him. They don't cut it, but sometimes they do cut it because of what they have seen of so many falls from the child. When they cut it, there's nothing happens. So, no harm if you put old clothes on your children because you don't want to beautify them for the sake of what? Protecting them from the evil eye. Because this is something actual, because you don't want to drag their attention to them. So, as for the Quran, hanging Quran, okay, it is not to be valid, as we said before. And some of them even we said, we write the Quran in small letters that cannot be even read. And we said that this Quran will be polluted by the urine of the children, sometimes to be taken in the toilets, and it's not really right and fitting. Some of the people had taken some of those worshippings as to be tabarruk, not to be worshipped. So, for example, when he goes to make the Umrah, he starts rubbing the Rukn al-Yaman, which is the stone or the corner before Hajar al-Aswad. He rubs it, then he wipes the child's face with it. It's like taking barakah from the corner and putting it on the child. So this is now when the person takes the ibadah as something to seek barakah from it, which is not right. And that's the difference between making ibadah and making tabarruk. So this is total ignorance. If you start gonna, for example, take from the black stone or the ruqyah man and start wiping the children, wiping your wife with it yourself, you know, that barakah of whatever you have touched is not going to transfer to the others. And that is why Umar al-Khattab, when he had kissed that stone, he said, verily, I know that you are a stone. You don't benefit, you don't harm. Had it been that I have seen the Prophet of Allah kiss you, I will never kiss you. Rightly so? Then he says a tiwala. A tiwala, something that the author says that the women, they used to do that to their husband. So it will make the woman is nice to her husband, and also the husband nice to his wife. That's called a tiwala. Now that tiwala, God knows what they put into it. I'm saying this, God knows what they put into it. So that is also from part of the shirk, because it has to do with incantation, and it has to do with the spiritual spells as well from those people. It has to be done. Otherwise it will not be, that called tiwala. And I myself know of a story where the person had been affected by this tiwala, where there was a man from my family who wanted to marry a woman from my family as well, and that man, he went to somebody who is a sorcerer, and he had made their special thing, and that special thing, he put it in the tea where that woman who he wants, she supposed to drink it. That woman did not drink it from it, but the mother of hers drank it, which is my grandma, the old woman. And she started calling upon that name, Muhammad, that's the name of the man, Muhammad, day and night. Something wrong. And she asked him, what did you put for me in the tea? That I'm saying your name all the time. So my grandma, she told me that before she died. So he put something in the tea and I drank it, and I started hallucinating with his name. Because of whatever so-and-so his name, he had dealt with magic or sorcery, so I know that for a fact. And that's tiwala wal shirk. So the tiwala, whatever you don't know, it could go to the person, like a wife goes to the sorcerer, and she says to him, I want my husband not to marry somebody else. Do something to me. Or do something to him. So he will, okay, bring me something from him, like bring me whatever. His sweat or his t-shirt, or if he could be rude as well, ask some pubic hair from him. And then he will come and mix it with, don't know, God knows what it is, maybe the blood of frogs and blood of cockroaches and blood of menses, and then he reads his spells and he puts it in something, and then he says to her, go and give it to your husband. Put it in the tea or whatever. So he drinks it. If he, alhamdulillah, survives and he doesn't die, he'll be in total sort of illness for the rest of his life. So she lose him. Never mind he's going to marry somebody else, but she lose him as well, because he will be under that spell. Very rarely that we find the husband do this other opposite. Very rarely. Very rarely that the husband will try to make the woman. Very rarely. But it does happen as well. I just said my story. But usually it's the case the women, because they are always saying that we want to protect our husband from marrying somebody else. So because they're ignorant, and because of their love as well, make them blind to go to do that. So most of the customers of those sorcerers are women, basically. Very high percentage from the women. And when these channels had opened, satellite channels for magic and sorcerers, and they put these premium numbers, if you perform them at £2 a minute, or whatever, how they make the money. Most of the customers who are talking are women. And they want what? My husband did this, and my husband did that, can you do something about it? My husband did this, and on the phone, he communicates with what? And he says, oh yes, now he is at the moment, he will come to you as a slave and all of that. So she doesn't know what she has done, basically. She had actually committed shirk. And she's not going to fix the situation, because those people, once you are hooked to them, they will never leave you. Because they want you to come as a customer, they want to make money out of you. That's how it is. That's the tiwala. Okay, so we are. Now, the Shaykh, he says here, the people who buy as well, that cylinder ring, we call it in Arabic a dibla. or Dibla, according in Jordanians. And they believe that that is the source of love. So if you take that ring, that cylindrical ring, out of your finger, that's it. Okay? I don't know if somebody asked me about this before, and we talked about that this is rubbish. 2 days ago, no, we haven't. It's a different place. But actually, this is not from the Sunnah. Number one, it's actually imitating the disbelievers. Number two, actually, the Christians, what they do when they marry between a man and a woman, they will make the husband and the wife to swap those rings in front of the priest. Okay? And they put it in the little finger. In the finger next to the little one. Al-Binsar here. So, there's a belief linked to what they believe. For example, in the name of God, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the Father. So the Son is in the second one. So they put it in there's a belief there attached to it. So whether you know or you don't know it, you are actually imitating the disbelievers. Number three now, that is going to cause problems. So if you think as a wife that this man, he has to put it on and will protect your husband from other women to look at him, you're mistaken. Because that husband, if he likes a woman, straight away he just put his hand in his pocket and he'll take it off. And while he's working, he shows his hand, he's got nothing. Maybe there's a place, like something there, but he will say, wow, well, he shows it before and that's it, I'm finished. And if he sees an ugly woman, he'll put it back. He doesn't want communication with her. So that, very easy can do that. And the same thing with the women, but the women usually are more faithful than the men. The ones who betray are the men. Okay? So if you think that that's going to protect you, no, it's not going to protect you. Actually, it is actually on the contrary. So the protection comes from what we learn from Allah and His Messengers, what we follow from the instruction in the Quran and the Sunnah. And if it is gold, then it's going to add more haram to it, because gold for the men, absolutely haram with the consensus of the scholars. For the women, is a difference among the scholars regarding the ring. Most of the scholars say it's halal for the women, but our Shaykh al-Albani says even the ring for the woman is haram. It is only halal for her to put things like, for example, earrings, nose rings, and a necklace which is made of silver but holds gold, chunks of gold. Okay, nothing to be incirculating the limb. The bracelet is not allowed. So I'm just saying, anyway, for the men it's haram. So they put it as well haram. Right, is it shirk akbar or asghar? It depends upon the intention. If you believe that it itself will benefit, shirk akbar. If it does not, then it's shirk asghar. Then Abdullah ibn Ruqyah, he says, and this hadith is this authentic part of it, Man ta'allaqa shay'an wukila ilayh. He who hangs anything, regardless, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put your fate with that thing that you hanged. So let that thing help you, basically. Let him protect you. Let him as well prevent the harm to reach you, which is impossible, of course. Again, we could divide as well the hanging into two things, shirk akbar and shirk asghar, depending upon the intention. At-tamima, and then khalas, alhamdulillah. Right. Okay, he says here, the author, as for the Quran, he says that some of the Salaf had made it permissible, as I said before, and most of them did it not. And you made it as well from the prohibited, some of the scholars, like some of the companions, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, but we know that for a fact that was hanged upon the children to teach them the Quran, not for the barakah of the Quran. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. By this, we come to the conclusion. So, ruqyah will not be acceptable if it fulfills fulfilling the following condition. Number one, you don't have the belief that this will affect by itself, but actually it affects by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing will affect by itself. Nothing. If you believe in that, this is shirk. Second issue, that it will not be having within it something that would oppose the Sharia. Like, for example, calling upon other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number three, that it has to be as well from if you are an Arab, in Arabic, so you don't say it in English. If you're an Arab, say it in Arabic. So why do you say it in a language that people maybe don't understand it? So if it's abracadabraka, it's haram. Abracadabra, I don't understand abracadabraka, what it is. Or open sesame. all of that. Sometimes the scholars would add another. If you in doubt of a person, make him to say it loud in order to hear it himself. Make it to say it loud. Right. This chapter hasn't finished because it's got issues and got as well more narrations. More narrations I will discuss it with next week. If you have any questions, please go ahead. I'll ask the uncle to start. The other narration, I've got a number of notations regarding, that's why I'm keeping it for next week. Okay, so leave it for the next week, inshallah. Now, talisman. Talisman, anything to be hanged, whether it's in the neck, in the leg, in the arm, anything. This amulet is, they said something to the neck. So an amulet is part of a talisman, basically. Tabarruk means seeking barakah. Seeking barakah from something. Seeking barakah. Barakah, blessings. Incantation, ruqyah. Is just saying words onto a person in order to get him cured. No, ruqyah. Fadal. If a person taking the means which are proper causes, yet they don't believe.
They don't acknowledge Allah. So some people take paracetamol and they believe that that's the cure for paracetamol.
Yeah, that's the one who, as I said, that they will believe in the reason so much, like the Sufis. Do you remember what he said? Like the Sufis. That is as well part of the shirk. If you have reached the extent to say that Allah's got nothing to do with it, that's shirk. And it could be shirk akbar. But most likely they don't reach that. But they have, without them knowing, more belief in the source, in the cause, than the one who causes it. In the background. But if you ask them, they will not say that, will they? They will not say that. You haven't seen them believe that Allah, if He said to you, you're not going to be cured by the paracetamol, you think you're going to be cured by the paracetamol? You're going to say, yes, I don't think so. So we're talking about something which is not it's imaginative. But yes, lots of people now, most of the people are hypocrites for this. That's why they work into haram, and they say, if I don't work, I'm not going to get money. The same thing. So they believe in the causes more than the causa. See, if they don't work in this, if I don't take, for example, riba, qarz for the education, I'm going to be not working. You understand? That's weakness in his iman. But he doesn't believe. If Allah Azza wa Jalla, he will back off. So his weakness in his belief. Now, further.
Somebody doesn't believe at all in magic and ruqyah. Does magic and ruqyah can affect him?
If somebody does not believe in magic and ruqyah whatsoever, does magic and ruqyah affect him? It will affect him. Why doesn't he believe in magic? Allah says in the Quran there's magic. Out of ignorance, for example?
No, I mean, he's a believer, he don't believe in Quran.
Okay. He doesn't believe in Quran. So he's a kafir. Kafir person, is he going to be affected by magic? He won't be affected by magic. Most of the people who are kuffar, they are affected. They are exposed to the magic properly. And the magic can easily take in them. Who's David Blunt? Is it going to be David Blunt? Isn't it? David Copper. David Copper. Blamed. David Blamed. The magician, yeah. Who are these? Muslims? They're not Muslims. Who's the one biggest one? David Blamed, or is there somebody bigger than him? Loads. Who's the king of the sorcerers? No, he's not. Chris Angel is a liar. David Copperfield, that's the one I'm looking for. David Copperfield, that's the one. That one is a freak of cameras. He's a liar. If you could go on the camera, you could see them. He just cut off, and he's actors, all of them, bunch of actors. But somebody who was like, you could see even David Copperfield that his eyes, a'udhu billah. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like a shaitan, a human being. A shaitan, a human being. Who's the one who slept into, or he stayed in that capsule without food? David Blamed. Yeah, he's a mini one. He's got a mini. He's a ustad. He's David Copperfield as well. He's sheikh. But I like what happened when I went there. Passing by London, there was in London bridge. I passed by there when he was, stayed there for 40, I can't remember, 40 days or something without food, just water comes there. So he's supposed to make it up, fuss and that. And the English people passing by, you American, go back home. I've heard, what are you doing in our country? Just get lost. That's really, subhanallah. He's expecting people to say, oh, yeah, nothing, there's nobody there. Racist comments. Nah, follow.
So some Rockies, they recite Quran into the water, and then they give it to the patient to drink or to spray it on him. So what is that classification?
Is recitation upon the water is something helpful? The scholars regarding this issue have two opinions. That is, because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that we sent from the Quran ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين, what is cure physical and as well it's a mercy which is spiritual. So the Quran, we could recite it on water and give it to the people. And they might use athar, which is not authentic. And others, they said, yes, the Quran ayah is there, but the Quran would help with that. The need to do something which is not being affirmed by the Sunnah. Quran is beneficial by itself. Why should we use the water with it in order to benefit the person? So we read Quran upon him, like the Prophet read Quran on the boy. He did not recite Quran on water and he gave it to the mother and he said to the mother, every time you see him crying, let him drink from that water. We respect the scholars who said to recite on the water. And there are Sheikh ibn Baz, great sheikhs. So we say that, but if I saw somebody doing it, I'm not going to tell them off. Okay, it is being proved to be what? Effective. It's being proved to be effective. Something that is being read upon it with the person. So if you read upon it, for example, maybe it affects the person who is being possessed. So I'm not going to say anything to him, but if he asked me, I would say, no, you don't need it. Now I'll tell you something that happened with me in your town, in Luton. I paid a visit to a brother in his house. And he said to me, there is a sister. She wants you specifically to read on this bottle of water. And they gave me a bottle of water, it's 2 liters, not this one. 2 liters. And to read in that water for her because she's got something wrong. I said to the brother, I don't believe on recitation on the water. And she was in the house with his wife. But don't tell that to your wife or to her. I'm going to show you that these people psychologically affected rather than it is what spiritually. So he kept the water for us about 15, 20 minutes being chatted. I did nothing. I said, just give the water. Don't say anything. So he gave the water to his wife, and his wife, she gave it to her. And the week after, I came to visit him again. And he was laughing his head off. And he brought me another bottle. He said, she is saying, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. I have been cured and everything, MashaAllah. I said, you know the trick now. So I'm not only coming every week, so you do that on my behalf. So you know what to do now. Keep it in the fridge for her for about 10 minutes and give it to her. And that is one story. And then another one which happened in my town, Iwicken. That is a woman exactly the same. She brought me a bottle. And she wants to be cured. So she passed it by through the curtain where I used to teach for the women, and she passed it to me. I said, okay, I left it, and then I said to my wife, give it to her. So she gave it to her. My wife, she knows the trick, of course. She knows her own read. She gave it to her. Following week, she brought another bottle. Following for 3-4 weeks. And after 4 weeks, I just got fed up. I'm going to finish the class, I'm going to be straight up with water. So I said to her, sister, let me tell you something. What have I given you? None of them I've read on it. It's just something say. She said, no wonder why I knew it from the beginning. Allahu musta'an. So she started belying herself. I knew it from the beginning. Well, you knew it from the beginning, why are you bringing me every 5 months? Why are you bringing me every week? So, I mean, I will not tell the person, but I've seen people, when you give them something to drink that he shouts. Allahu A'lam. But I'll tell you what, I have seen that the power of the Quran without the water. There was one day, recently, about a month ago, in my country. There was a person whom I know, and he's got a sister whom she is mahram to me. Okay? So I'm mahram. She's a little girl, about maybe 13, 14 years old. And he had a phone call 1 o'clock in the morning. And he said to me that she's jumping up and down. Jumping that girl up and down. Like, they can't hold her. So we went there, and I remember her brother brought her, his uncle, with me, and she doesn't want to come. She's a little girl. And I have seen, subhanAllah, how the shaitan comes into the face of the person and he takes his personality. It's a little chip, and then he started talking in a tone which is like, ugh. He says, I am not your brother. She's talking to her brother, I'm not your brother. Keep me away. And then when you read, he comes back to the little girl. SubhanAllah. So when he says, I'm powerful, I'm not going to be scared of your Quran. Just like, it's not a kid talk. But every time he runs away from inside and then he comes up again. So when he runs away, she talks slowly and then he comes up, you could see her eyes, he's going to talk. His eyes gets bigger and he starts talking with the other girl. But anyway, I haven't read around a piece of water or anything like this. Actually, she was scared to come close to him. I don't want to come to him. It's the power of, I've got no power. I mean, I'm powerful physically, but I'm not the Quran's power. So she was scared of the Quran. So I said, and when I was reading in front of her family, I don't want her family to be, because they don't really let me to go and hold her from here and anything like this. Take her with me in the car, but make sure that you lock her up in the back seat because she might push me while I'm driving and cause an accident. And she was trying to do that. You know what I mean? They're powerful. Anyway, it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock, remember, and I called my friend who is specialized in this. And I said, I'll be here. He was next door actually. He was so far, but he was waiting on somebody else. So within 3-4 minutes he was with me. And he lives very far. And he said, straight on the phone him. He said, yeah, I'm next to you. So he came. And, that guy is specialized, of course. And he said, get out before I... Straight away yelled from here, get out. And that thing was really scared. Yeah, you can't scare us off. So I kept reading, and he's, get out. And then he brought the needle, and he poked her finger. I can't remember the thumb. And then she's just like a little kid. She went to sleep the following day. She's running, nothing. Subhanallah, la ilaha illallah. This happened only less than a month ago. More than a month, sorry. I was saying, the 15th of August, how much is that? That's about 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago, 15th of August. So that is, I've seen it. We didn't read in water. And he himself reads in water. In the Quran, but in front of me, he does not do that. I don't really do that. So he does not do that. So the Quran, alhamdulillah. We read the Quran without the water and drinking the water. But my Shaykh Muhammad Musa Nasr, he does read on the water. So that's why we're saying this. When I see somebody doing it, I'm not going to say them off. طيب, we stop here like this. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت